I mean, what's important?
Muting my phone.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty important.
That is. I'm actually going to do that too. Professionals. Just going to turn my shit off altogether. So if you're listening to this and you were trying to call me at what time is it? 7:48 Central Time PM on Monday the 1st, you're not going to get me.
Yeah, no. God, for God's sake. The Chapel Bill era starts now. Get the fuck out of here.
I heard that the other day. I lost my shit. It's like, that's the dumbest thing, and I love it.
Please, 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 Horned Frogs, hang 100 on these jamokes.
Because that's something I would say. So you know how bad we're talking if this is like a Zach level pun.
Yeah, well, times
are tough.
Times are tough, apparently. You lay off all your creative people. Those are the headlines you're left to write.
It's true. It's true.
And then you know what you're left with?
What's that?
Fairly KickAss podcast. When you fire all your creative talent.
Like,
if you're waiting for a counter argument, you're not going to get one.
What was it our teacher used to say, Dan? We were up a creek without a paddle and also without a boat or a creek.
Yes. Correct.
Oh boy, it's going to be one of those shows. I say that every week, and it's always one of those shows. So at least we're consistent, if nothing else. We're
Indeed.
Consistent. We're assholes. We're Jay, Dan, and Zach. We are your kick-ass crew for the evening or morning or late night, whenever you're listening to this. We're not here to judge.
Though if you wake up to us, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah. Like you have options.
I mean,
silence is an option.
Gotta say that. Oh no.
Ooh. Well, we had plenty of options, both in albums and charting singles for the month that was of August of 2025.
Indeed.
And Dan, I will start with you this time on the charting single side. Give us your take. What was there any big album or albums that dominated the charts? What was your overall vibe? How did it go for you?
On the album side, no. Well, yes, actually. Now we're going to continue our discussion from July, and I assume we may continue the discussion that y'all might be having with a certain record, or not. I don't know what y'all are into. I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to record shame, but I am here to say that at least this time there were an abundance of singles, and much better than the rest of the summer has honestly been.
Good.
I mean, there's still crap. Don't misunderstand me. But at the same time, I feel like I thought like I was going to sit down and try to ponder the question of the song of the summer, because we keep talking about that every year. And did we actually end up with a summer where there really wasn't a song? And the jury is still out, but this month helps a little bit kind of make an argument. But I think that's something that's a conversation to have another time.
Okay.
Yeah, I was curious of how exactly, especially after last month, how exactly this month was going to shake out, specifically on the album side. So yeah, definitely more to come there. I don't want to spoil anything you got cooking, but interesting stuff all the way around. Jay, what about you on the album side?
I went back and forth on how I felt overall here. I feel like there was a lot of releases. Yeah. And I tried to get through, as much as I possibly could, which often makes things blur. Mm-hmm. And that's unfortunate, but I came up with a good, solid list. I will say that I definitely had a mood that I gravitated toward in August.
Nice.
Definitely in a particular vein from start to finish here in my top 3. And I ain't mad about it, because I went back and I was like, no, those are the ones. So, I mean, I have a short list, obviously, but the ones I put are the ones that I really gelled with. So
sweet.
Yeah. How about you?
I didn't really think about it in those terms of having a type for this month. A lot of months we both do, Sometimes it's all over the map. Sometimes it's like, man, I was really feeling X genre or X subgenre this month, and my list really showed it. looking back at my list, I was very clearly feeling a specific genre. I just didn't realize it at the time. And I say genre, I mean probably less of a strongly typed genre and more of just a specific vibe that was exhibited in 3 very distinct but very awesome ways. So same as you, I think these are the 3 for me. There was one other one that was kind of 3A, 3B sort of situation, but the other 2 are pretty firm.
That's cool, because I had a very similar situation. It would be very weird if any of our stuff overlaps. The way you described your top 3 being not of a genre, but like of a vibe, that's interesting because I went the same direction. So if any of this overlaps, I would be incredibly surprised, actually.
We have 6 different songs, and I would stake my position on this podcast that is accurate.
Okay, fair enough.
Or 3 different albums rather, because I at least know that one. If this was overlapped, I would have heard about it from you before now. So I feel good about that one. The other 2, I also feel pretty damn good about.
Okay.
I can go ahead and jump in, and we'll see. We'll see how much longer my tenure on this podcast remains. So you 2 have friends, and everyone listening, you have friends that listen to music in varying degrees. I know the 3 of us listen to a fuck ton of music, and some of you do too out there, listeners, and some of you not so much, and that's perfectly awesome too. There's certainly no gatekeeping to that vibe whatsoever. But I do tend to have a lot of friends that kind of go on the spectrum of listening to not that much music and then listening to an amount of music that is probably medically unsafe. Let's put it that way.
That's my weekly life.
Yeah. You fit into that category for sure. Both of you and several other folks I know do as well. And a lot of those folks have a very wide range of musical tastes, but there, at least in this specific group of friends, there is one band that is extremely pervasive. That is always there, always the one that's like, hey, this band is playing, local. This band is touring. This band, came out with a single, whatever. And for the longest time, like I didn't have anything against this band. I thought they were lovely, but I really didn't gel with them. They didn't catch until the album that came out from them in August. So I will apologize. I owe mea culpa that I didn't get on board sooner, because every single one of you was right. Hot Mulligan absolutely fucking slaps. My number 3 album is The Sound a Body Makes When It's Still. Musically, let's call it, Shades of Mayday Parade, I guess, but better in literally every quantifiable aspect. Musically, vocally, we're not talking vocals that are going to win awards, because you don't want that. Oh, by the way, this is very Midwest emo, by the way, if you didn't get that from the whole Mayday Parade comparison. You don't want great, solid vocals in your emo bands. You just don't. See, also Taking Back Sunday. They sound like garbage disposals, and it's perfect and it's beautiful. That's what they're supposed to sound like. Lyrically, the best kind of taking a page out of your book, Jay, the recommended if you like is Pup, the punk outfit from up north of us, up in Canada, I believe Toronto specifically. And I wouldn't say lyrically that this album is better than your traditional Pup offering. I would say it's certainly on par lyrically, which is a huge compliment, because Pup's lyrics are so good and so perfect and just so very much true to what the band is. And same deal here with Hot Mulligan. Very, very cool lyrically, very cool sonically. And a big load, as funny as it is to say, was also a great track. It was my favorite track on the album. Mile a Minute, if you like something a little bit softer, it goes a bit on the acoustic side. It is definitely an outlier. This album is more upbeat than downbeat, definitely in the happy sounding sad song arena for many of these tracks. But lesson learned, trust your friends. They will never steer you wrong unless they try to get you to listen to Real McCoy. And at that point, you should probably run fast.
Well, we're still here.
Mistakes have been made.
Owning up to it doesn't matter unless there's also repentance. Anyway, I'm with you on the Hot Mulligan record. It's in my honorable mentions. And a Big Load was one of my favorite tracks, but honestly, like I feel like I was with them mostly for the song titles. on the rest of the record, like Monica Lewinsky. And what was the other one? Oh, Slumdog Scungillionaire.
It just is perfectly nonsensical.
Perfectly nonsensical. It smells like a fudge axe in here. What even is that?
Yeah, it's just looking at some of the other ones. They're they're just off the chain. It's wild, and it's definitely one of those things where those words don't typically end up in the songs. It's just let's just name these things as silly as we possibly can, but it works. It works for them.
Yeah, it does.
Good stuff.
Love it.
Well, if that was not in your top three, what was your number three?
Okay, so this one was in here because I had to. I just had to. It's been 26 years since their last release. 26 years. But if the product here's any indication, for Prolapse, it must feel like 6 months. That's the band, Prolapse. Their new release was called I Wonder When They're Going to Destroy Your Face, which by title alone would have made this list. But the album itself feels sort of like the culmination of everything Prolapse had been building toward for their first 4 records, which all were released in the 90s, the last one in 99. It's sort of a fusion of their like trademark chaos and precision. They're all over the place, but like together with the all over the place. And it's about as strong an album as anyone could reasonably hope for. All their signature moves are accounted for. The 2-guitar assault from Pat Marsden and Dave Jeffries, hammering away in relentless brain-boring repetition. Check. The bruising drive of the rhythm section with Geordie Mick Harrison on bass and Octopus Tim Pattinson behind the kit. Check. The overlapping volleys of stream of consciousness vocals from Linda Stilliard and Scottish Mick Derrick. He actually goes by Scottish Mick, which is interesting. And they alternately rise above and sink below each other in the maelstrom. Check. Then there's Donald Ross Skinner and his retro futurist keyboard textures, which valiantly bolster the din without ever really being noticeable. Check. Basically, the result of this is a strange, exhilarating paradox. It's music that is locked in and disciplined, but like teetering on the edge of collapse. It's something that could have easily been unlistenable, but Prolapse pull it off. For longtime fans, those opening notes of the first track on the record, Fall of Cashline, lands like a long-awaited dose of comfort. It's a jagged, scuzzy staccato guitar riff crashing in. It's instantly recognizable. And before you've caught your breath, Mick Derrick's unmistakable, unintelligible brogue cuts through the din with "It's the middle of the day, it's the middle of the night, it's the same old people and the same old sights." Then right on cue, the full band locks into their post-punk krautrock garage trance, which is a groove that feels inevitable and irresistible. And then that carries you into the rest of the record.
I am going to admit that typically when we look at these albums, at least for bands that we're not familiar with, and I absolutely was not at all familiar with Prolapse. I think, like you mentioned, the fact that their previous album, Ghosts of Dead Aeroplanes, were released in 1999. I know what I was listening to in 1999. It was Britney Spears and NSYNC. It was not Prolapse.
Yeah, this would be decidedly different.
Yeah. I would reckon so. But this was one of the rare times that I was less intrigued and more just aghast at a band name. Like I saw that and I was like,
yeah,
but I don't want to though.
Yeah, but it's so good.
Yeah, I feel like if I had known ahead of time what the sound was, like I absolutely would have been in.
Yeah, well, and that's one of those things too. So I actually didn't know of them in the 90s when they were still doing anything. It wasn't until college and I started being introduced to a lot of the like 90s underground stuff. They were never like super popular.
Yeah.
But they were like, you've heard the phrase before, but it's your favorite band's favorite band sort of thing. Like a lot of like Stereo Lab fans would have been into Prolapse at the time. They don't sound anything like Stereo Lab, but a lot of like that, I don't know, era of stuff. Pavement fans would have liked them. Jesus Lizard fans would have liked them
for sure.
And I didn't, and until I didn't know Jesus Lizard either until I was in college. So that's one of those like that's what I was when I was introduced to them, and floored, like love their stuff. I think you have to have a certain amount of cheek to pull off a band name like Prolapse.
Yeah. Without just being dismissed out of hand by, all but the most, I don't know, the most brackish of folks, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, that one, again, I'm bummed that I passed it up, and don't judge an album by its title. Lesson number 2 of this episode.
Yep.
Trust your friends and listen to the album no matter what the band is called.
Yeah. What else are you gonna punt my way?
So I am going to punt your way another artist that I was not familiar with until today, until today. I'll own it. I didn't listen to this album until earlier this afternoon. I needed to fill out my list, and had a lot of honorable mentions at the time. Didn't really have, like you said, there was just a lot. There was a large volume, and I had 2 locked in. One that ended up being replaced by the Hot Mulligan record, and still needed one to kind of really solidify the top 3, because I could have pulled an honorable mention in, it would have been fine, but I wanted something that was more genuine. Enter Irish musician Ciara Mary Alice Thompson, otherwise known as CMAT. Came across her 3rd studio album, Euro Country, the previous 2 both hitting number 1 in Ireland, and the second of the 3, Crazy Mad for Me, also charting really well in the Scottish chart and the UK chart. So I figure, this is probably going to be fairly decent. And it was. Euro Country was fairly decent, plus a whole lot more. It's pure, vulnerable pop, like capital P pop, like just pop that is in its most well-refined form. Great music behind each and every track. It's not an afterthought. It's not subtle. At the same time, it doesn't, blow your face off necessarily. It's just really well suited to the lyrics, and, perhaps most importantly, really well suited to CMAT's vocals. Vocals, which themselves are of the quality where you'll listen to a track and see Matt's, singing and doing her thing, and it's awesome. And then all of a sudden there'll be like a vocal run or a specific note that gets hit, or a note that gets hit in a specific way, and it just makes you pause, like, I didn't know you had it like that. Wow. And you're just kind of, it's few and far between. I think that's deliberate, but it's like, wow, she can sing her ass off. Like, just kind of getting that, and knowing that it's just such a treat in the few times that it does come up in these tracks was really, really cool, I thought. You've got some subtle yet sublime harmonies that dot some of the tracks. You also have another instance of the old happy sounding sad lyric, to wit from the track Coronation Street, which was one of my favorites. All I do ever is try to figure out what I'm missing. My time collects like a pile of dust in the corner of the room where I spend all my time. Like, a great lyric, extremely well delivered in a way that you would not know that this was just such a bummer of a lyric and a bummer of a song, but such is the way of the happy sounding sad song. It's why we love it so much. Mm-hmm. Maybe not thematically, although kind of somewhat thematically, but most definitely in vibe. This could be the rise and fall of a Midwest Princess Part 2. The overlap between CMAT and Chappell Roan is undeniable. It's unmistakable. And it's really some of the highest praise that I could give an artist in this day and age. It was a tremendously great album, and I was happy I stumbled upon it.
Yeah, it sounds stellar based on your description. I'd never heard of this artist. Glossed right over top of it on the list. Shouldn't have done that. Because now I'm looking at the track list and thinking, man, there's a sense of humor here that I need to check out, because songs like Lord Let That Tesla Crash sound great. And I really need to listen to and look up the lyrics and listen to this song, because I want to know what she means by Janis Joplining.
Right. Yeah, it's lighthearted, but with a seedy underbelly. It's definitely that kind of vibe. Like, that there's some shit being unpacked here, but it sounds like a fun little frolic in the forest.
All right.
It was cool. I liked it.
Cool.
What about you? What was that in the middle of your top 3 at number 2?
Well, the word fun doesn't really apply, but the word frolic kind of does. Songwriter Nate Amos and front person Rachel Brown are not new to the stage, but they're pretty new to me. The last record from Water From Your Eyes was Everyone's Crushed, and it was really good and was my introduction to them. And I have yet to go back and listen to their previous work. So I was grateful for the reminder that came in the form of their most recent record, It's a Beautiful Place. Whew. Wow. So It's a Beautiful Place is the kind of album that proves that size doesn't matter. 6 proper songs, 4 instrumental interludes, and comes in at just 29 minutes on the clock. But somehow it stretches out in your head like a double album. Probably because I listened to it like 4 times in a row. With that quick runtime, Water From Your Eyes cram in more ideas than most bands manage in an entire career. And Miracle of Miracles, they fit it all together without toppling over. So originating in Chicago, then moving to Brooklyn, there's sort of a total Rorschach act. Like if you squint hard enough, they're like indie weirdos. And if you tilt your head, suddenly they're reanimating 90s alt rock. And is it accessible? Yeah. Is it difficult? Also, yeah. And the fun is that they're kind of doing it all at once, and it's not an accident. Nate Amos once said in an interview that the band works best when, quote, every song is a remix of a song that doesn't exist, end quote.
Huh.
That ethos is baked thoroughly into A Beautiful Place. It's a kaleidoscope of genres and arrows and curveballs. Or in his own words, we wanted to present a wide range of styles in a way that acknowledges everything's just a tiny blip. Mission accomplished. And then some. Honestly, like the album is beautiful in a way that is indescribable. I'm definitely having trouble. When I was writing this, I could not put into words what I felt about the record. I will say that my favorite tracks on the list or on the album were in like the middle end of it. So not quite the end of it, because the last track is an instrumental track, but the song Playing Classics, which bleeds into an instrumental, It's a Beautiful Place, which moves into Blood on the Dollar. That 3-track setup is indelibly carved into my brain, and I cannot stop listening to it over and over again. Since the album dropped, 2 weeks ago, it's been in my head, and I just can't stop.
You know, those are really the best, though. The ones that just kind of weevil themselves into your cranium, and you can't explain why. You can't explain how. They're just there, and they're not leaving.
Right. It's almost like the guitar work almost has like a Adam Green feel, but like filtered through John Frusciante. Like
that's my brain has been broken.
I know. And then you've got like the Adam Green probably comes up in my head because Rachel has sort of a Kimya Dawson vibe sometimes as she's singing with a little more like vocal prowess than Kimya, but that same sort of deadpan delivery that I love. I don't know. I am absolutely floored by the album. I will be listening to it forever and ever.
Yeah, I did not come across that one. I think even if I did, I probably would have passed it just by based on length of album alone. I like to at least have a full length for the albums that reach the top 3. I've certainly put EPs in honorable mentions all day long, and that's just like a very specific me thing. That's not anything against a shorter, like you said. It's size doesn't matter,
right?
You know, there have been some singles that have been awesome. Yeah,
it is 10 tracks though. So
that would qualify then. Yeah.
It's 10 tracks. Just 4 of them are like 1 minute long.
Hey, track length is track length. It still counts. Right. Just looking at them citing their influences, Ween is kind of
Ween comes up a lot.
Yeah, it's making me feel a little less great about it.
But like think to the Ween albums that you do like. Like go back to like the Mollusk.
It was better than the other. It feels like the Bright Eyes conversation all over again.
Yeah, it does.
But no, I'm totally kidding. I am stoked to go back and check this one out. Especially the. Oh, God.
I would say it's more Ween like in attitude than it is in actual sonic discourse.
Okay, then I could dig that.
Yeah, I had another like interview that came up with Nate Amos, and it was a little too esoteric for me, but I'll read it since we're still discussing it. It was in the album's press bio that came with the album for interviewers. He said, "A song can feel like everything, communicating vast emotional landscapes, but your favorite album is less important than any person. That person is less interesting than any dinosaur. That dinosaur is less important than any mountain. That mountain is boring compared to any planet. That planet is only a part of a solar system. That solar system is microscopic next to any galaxy. If music and all other human practices are meaningless on a cosmic scale, why does it still feel so important?"
I'm not gonna lie, that's one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard.
It's beautiful, but
Seriously.
very, very esoteric.
Yeah.
Anybody else taste copper?
I mean, the brain is big that can understand and unpack that. And this brain is not there. This brain knows it heard nice word, and nice words sound nice. But yeah, that was cool. I like that.
Yeah, me too. And I really like their approach to music, and I really like their approach, and their lyrical content is wonderful. Yeah, God, that three track run is just burned into my head.
Even just the names of each of those 3 tracks, like they seem to fit so perfectly.
Yeah. Well, should we chat about what almost made the cut before we go into our best of?
I think we should. They definitely didn't make the best of, but you could say that they made the Beths of. Yeah. I feel bad that should not have happened. Yeah. Cut that from the producer. Nikki will never cut that, and that's fine.
Nope.
Straight Line Was a Lie was the album. It was the best. It's one of those. If you like them, you'll like this. If you don't like them, then still give it a try, because I think that you may be swayed.
Agreed.
Also, let's see. The one that almost made the cut, the 3B to the 3A, was Baby by R&B artist Dijon. I had in my notes, if Tyler, the Creator, traveled back to the year 1988 and did his best Prince impersonation, it would be Dijon. And I read that back and listened to more of it and made sure that I felt good about that before I put it on this podcast, and I really do.
Okay, writing that down.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a trip. It's something. Like, it definitely sonically very 80s vibes. It was a cool album. It was way cooler than I think I gave it credit for in the first few minutes of the first track I listened to, but I'm glad I stuck with it. It ended up being really awesome. One that the 3 of us have certainly talked about, the Heels Have Eyes 2 from West Side Gun. Like, yeah, this is the only studio release technically of Guns that's came out this year, but he also has an EP and a mixtape. So we're going to call that 3 different releases. I don't think I can have all of them in the top 3, despite my best intentions. I will say something I've said before, that he just keeps getting better and better as far as the lyrics, as far as the delivery. You still have the boom, 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 boom. Like, that's just always going to be there. We're not stopping that. But as long as you can get past that, then you have just absolute gold. Particular love from me and Dan for the track Brickolai Volkov, featuring the great Stove God Cooks on the hook. Song is absolute aces with a name to match. And then one that was a more of a dishonorable mention was the album Wild Horses from a country artist, Chris Jansen. I listened to one track and listened to the first verse of said track, and this is what I heard, and this is why I didn't listen any further. Prettiest girl I'd ever seen. Look at her, man, look at me. I thought I can't just walk up and ask her to dance, but me and a beer can. Threw my laptop out the window. When I went back to retrieve it, I immediately skipped to the next album and didn't look back.
Good job.
Not silly. It's a good laptop. I'm not going to just get rid of it.
Yeah.
Jay, what about your honorable mentions? Where'd you land?
I will narrow it down a little because I have too many, but I did also have, as you said, like the Hot Mulligan. I also had the Beths, and that opening track, like where the straight line is a circle, the straight line is a lie. Like that's a great track.
Cool as hell, right?
I also threw Ghostface Killa's record, Supreme Clientele 2, which is basically a Wu-Tang record. So, I mean, Come on. It might have made my top 3 if there were a few less skits on it. There was too much filler on the record. It was fun. It was definitely in the vein of a 90s Wu-Tang record, but there was too much of it for me.
Yeah.
Pool Kids dropped a record called Easier Said Than Done, and that is just a straight up fun time with garage indie pop. Just really good, really well done. The Black Keys released probably their best record in 7 or 8 years with No Rain, No Flowers. I would say it harkens back to earlier Black Keys, but also like, I don't know, early 80s CSN kind of like Turn Your Back on Love vibes. Very psychedelic blues. Cool stuff. The Deftones dropped a record, which again, if you are a fan of the Deftones earlier stuff, like White Pony era, then you would like Private Music. If you're a fan of their more chaotic stuff that came after that, this one's probably not for you. It's more shoegazy than it is metal. Yeah, I like it a lot. Baby Metal's album dropped, and it was tight, especially if you enjoy Slaughter to Prevail. That's the best song on the record by far. Not even close. Everything else sort of, not that I'm against it, but everything else feels like the intro to an anime.
Which is why I loved it so much.
Oh, I loved it. I'm not gonna, but everything felt like happy pop metal, with the exception of song number 3 with Slaughter to Prevail. Actually, I did really like the track with Electric Callboy too. Rat-a-tat.
Yeah, Rat-a-tat's such a jam.
Yeah.
Also, I'm writing down top 5 anime intros for a future KickAss list.
And then 2 more things I'll mention, and that would be Dinosaur Pile-Up, which is not only a good band name, but a really good record with a very like late 90s post-grunge vibe, but then also mall punk. So think Wheatus, but with an edge.
Okay.
And really good lyrics. Like they were having fun and they were sharp and it was cool. The album is called I've Felt Better. Liked it a lot. And then the last thing I'll mention, which I'm sure Dan will talk about a little bit here, and I wasn't gonna mention it. We brought it up briefly during our draft night, and that is Sabrina Carpenter's Man Best Friend. Upon further listens, I think I like it. It's a grower for me. Tracks like When Did You Get Hot was an instant like, as was Go Go Juice. Manchild didn't have the staying power that I was hoping for, and songs like Never Getting Laid had a cool tone, and that pretty much sums up the tone of the record as a whole. There's a lot of like tongue-in-cheek, funny, over-the-top, almost ABBA flair to what she's doing. And I think I probably just need to listen a few more times, but that's felt like work so far. So I think I like it, but I'm not sure.
I thought Manchild's music video was far better than I liked the song, but I just thought the music video was just aces. It was brilliant.
Oh yeah, the video's amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, I feel like it's tough, I'm sure, just like especially with an artist like that. We talk about hype all the time. Man's Best Friend was super hyped ever since it was announced, and for me at least, I feel like there's always a bit of a come down, or at least in the vast majority of cases where you just want something to be good and you expect something to be not even good, but just great, just unattainably stratospheric.
Yeah, and I feel like doing what we do, I don't have that sort of expectations when albums come out, but I do feel like I wanted a little less Dua Lipa and a little more Sabrina.
I could see that
in the record, and I don't know. I feel like I got a lot of the like over the top bit, which I may end up loving. I don't know, because she is funny and the lyrics are good. I just have to get past the ABBA-ness of it all.
Yeah, I love that vibe, and maybe this is just kind of an evolutionary sort of thing. Maybe there was that specific vibe that was, that they kind of went for on the album.
Yeah, maybe. I as evidenced by my top 3, dark pop was the vibe, or post rock, whatever the hell that is. That's what I'm into right now, so that's what we're going with.
I hate and love that terminology in equal doses. Post rock. God damn it. Oh shit. Well, I guess we have reached the top of the barrel, so to speak.
Yes.
With our number ones, which is actually a pretty interesting segue from part of the conversation we were just having, because this was very hyped for me. This was extremely, extremely hyped for me. I thought that this album could not miss. This album, I figured, was slated into my number one slot from the day that it was announced as an album. Because, surprise, I talked about this album already. Talked about it last month. Last month, it was just 17 singles. Was not an album.
Oh, yeah.
But I said that if and when this does become an album, there's going to be a no-brainer. Of course, it is going to be my number one. I had heard all the singles by then. The ordering of said singles into an album was probably not going to change my opinion that much. It did not. And that, of course, is the great, incomparable Hayley Williams, who released a whole bunch of singles. Fun fact, here in Nashville was where the very first single of Ego Death at a Bachelorette Party was released back in July on our NPR affiliate WXNP, I believe the call letters are. WNXP. I knew I was going to transpose them. No matter how I said it, it was going to be wrong. So shout out WNXP for kind of being first out of the gate there. That was Mirtazapine was the very first single from this grouping that was ever released to the listening public. The others came within the next week, packaged into an album here in, I think, the third week of August. I deliberately did not write anything down for this album because I didn't want to start writing because I knew I wouldn't stop writing. And since I already talked about this album last month, I didn't want to just prattle on about the same shit that I already told you all about, 30 days ago. So I will simply say that this is every bit as great as the previous Hayley Williams solo albums have been, with the difference that this is different, that all of these tracks are so varied in style, so varied in sound, so many different influences and different vibes going on. So it's hard to call this album a single vibe because it's like 18 vibes in one. It's a masterpiece. It is, even as a huge Hayley Williams / Paramore fanboy, this album it exceeded my already cosmic stratospheric expectations, and I did not expect that whatsoever. If I say anything else about it, we'll be here for an hour, so go listen to Ego Death at a Bachelorette Party, and I hope you love it even half as much as I do. Then you will really, really love it.
Nice. So I agree. I love the record. I left it off of all of my lists for the simple reason that you did talk about it last month, forgetting completely that it wasn't actually an album at that point, but that was the reason I left it off in July, was because it was a series of singles, not an album. So I dropped the ball, but really I didn't, because that just leaves room for one more record to talk about.
Everybody wins.
Everybody wins.
Well, whoever was responsible for your number one album, I guarantee that they are winning, because it's certainly, considering how much you were in to your number two album, like, how do we get better? How do we go up from there?
Better might be a strong way to phrase that. I don't know that it's a better record, but it was the only thing that I could listen to jar water from your eyes from my head. And that is and I'm a fan from a few years back. This is Pile and their new album, Sunshine and Balance Beams. It is a full-blown theatrical production disguised as 9 songs. Pile sort of takes you by the hand and spins you in a psychedelic haze, and then sort of casually drops some of the most immersive lyrics right in your lap. It's unfair, really, how a band can juggle kaleidoscopic arrangements, gothic fairy tales, and gut-punch emotions all at once, and still make it look dispassionate and almost preternatural, right? Like, they have this ability to seem like they don't care about anything in the world, and yet this is what comes out. Tracks like A Loosened Knot and Born at Night are eerie, poetic daggers that make heartbreak sound transcendent, and his vocals are acrobatic enough to warrant their own trapeze act, if not classically good, because they're not. Like there's pitch stuff going on, and he's sort of slides in and out of stuff, but it's so good. Like it's raw. Honestly, if this is Pyle merely keeping busy, the rest of us might as well quit while we're ahead. Instrumentally, Sunshine and Balance Beams holds an entire sonic theme park for you to wander through. It's beautiful, dizzying. It's occasionally a little terrifying in the best way. And the songs like The Sprawling Meanwhile Outside is a twisting roller coaster that won't let you off, while Bouncing in Blue shape shifts from hushed ambiance into a full-blown rock anthem that just kicks down the door. It's probably my favorite track on the record, actually. That one, it's 7 minutes long, I think, and it's epic. Just when you think you've caught like a whiff of predictability, along comes a track like Uneasy, which stripped things back with disarming simplicity. Surprise is the currency here, and Pyle spends it with gleeful abandon. I shouldn't be allowed to have time to write, by the way, because I hated saying that out loud.
It sounded great. You killed it.
Well, by the time the closing song, Carrion Song, ties a bow on the whole adventure, you really question whether or not that, or like whether they even realize that they've pulled off something monumental. It's an LP that is equal parts maximalist spectacle and soul whiplash. And the end result is, frankly, it's undeniable. It isn't just another entry in their catalog. It's the jewel in their crown, and they know it. They are fully aware of it. I don't know how familiar you are with their previous work.
I'm not, honestly. Previous or current, to be.
So in the beginnings, like 05 or 07, I think is when they really got started. And in the beginning, they were more, it was harsh. Like the music was very hard. It's still fun, still good, but very harsh. And then they went through a phase over the last couple of records, which were more of the ambient, trying to play with atmosphere and figure out what was going on. And it was beautiful, but not like for me, it didn't feel like Pyle records. And this one, man, nail on the head. It is so good.
I think you mentioned the kind of transition from like the harder track to the softer, it almost seemed jarring the way you described it. I love that shit. I'm not gonna lie. I absolutely love that.
Yes.
Keep me on my toes as someone, as a engineer, mixer, producer, what have you. Like I don't want to know what's coming next from one track to the next. I want to be completely caught off guard because that keeps me engaged. Yeah. I feel like I'm not the only one. And it feels like this was in a very engaging album all the way through for many reasons. Completely
engaging. And that's for me, that was the through line with all three of the records that I had at the front, right? They were engaging. They were disjointed at times. There was no good flow. Like flow does not exist here in this realm. It's just one thing, then another thing. But stitched together in a way that makes perfect sense. And all three of those records did that. But Pyle did it best.
That's awesome. Just, that's just to see how that vibe kind of came around for you. I think, even more than me, I think that was almost a thematic sort of fairly kick-ass August review from you.
I feel that way as well. Yeah. But I didn't realize it until I was actually writing it. And then I was like, wait, that was definitely in a mood.
Yeah, totally. That's awesome, dude. What a 3-pack.
Yeah.
I think we both were right. I think we both absolutely nailed it for this month.
Yes. Agreed.
You know who else nailed it for this month? And that's Dan with the,
he's shaking his head. He didn't nail nothing.
That man don't miss.
I ain't nailing nothing. Buy me dinner first.
Shrewd respect. Well, yeah, hit us with the top, the bottom, all the way around. What stood out to you in the charting single side?
It's what we do. Although Jay mentioned Man's Best Friend, and the only reason it didn't is just there's none of it here. You had to wait a month to hear me talk about it because just the way chart reporting overlapped the release of that record. So
fair enough. I wasn't sure if there was another single that dropped throughout the course.
Oh, no. Nope. Instead, just foreshadowing. But instead, We talk a little bit more about a record we talked about last month. Actually, we could talk about 2 records we talked about last month. So we start with the honorable mention, where the soundtrack to K-pop Demon Hunters returns, putting 2 more songs in the Hot 100 this month. And Free it's the emotional ballad of the moment of the movie, which, as you know, well, every movie needs. Free there by the artist EJ and Andrew Choi. But instead of focusing on that, go with me here for a second. Think of what would have happened in the original Jurassic Park. It would have been while being chased down by a T-Rex, Doctors Grant and Sadler have a Frozen-style pop ballad as an aside. The greatest moment in movie history. That's what would have happened. That has nothing to do with Free, which is another great K-pop track on the soundtrack.
Yeah, the hook is just it's cheese. I mean, it's absolute like love song cheese, but in the best possible way.
It is the My Heart Goes On.
Yes, it's what it's supposed to be.
It's exactly what it's supposed to be. I almost said it is the There You'll Be, but I didn't want to denigrate Free that much. It was meant to be an insult.
Just talked about that song earlier today. That's weird.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Why?
I'm not. That's not
his. I want to know why.
Just randomly came up in just a discussion of like old love songs of the era.
We can wrap up that entire conversation with just one statement. I guess that would be Pearl Harbor sucks and I love you. So
you have a lot of folks that would go with you on both of those, I feel like.
And most people who don't realize that that song was the love ballad from it, and that B, Faith Hill was anyway.
It was a different era.
I digress.
Saw that movie in IMAX.
Yeah.
Let's just jump forward into the list, because last summer was the Brat summer, thanks to Charlie XCS. So it's really appropriate that a year later another song gives off a ton of Charlie vibes, and it's making its way up the charts. Fame is a Gun is the second of 5 singles off Addison Rae's debut studio record that surprisingly made its way up the FKA charts. And first, props to Rae for taking on the specter of fame from a different angle than most, a little bit of a different angle. This is the admission that the desire for fame is real and rather dangerous and quite destructive, and yet there is still that draw. The protagonist here is not risk-averse in this case, despite all the pitfalls that come with that pursuit. Production-wise, this is a synth-heavy dance pop song that has a cotton candy feeling, one that's light and airy while also turning the audio glucose up to 11. And I think it's that with her vocals, I think it's safe to include Fame as a Gun into the favorite genre, the happy sounding sad song. Maybe. I'm still not completely convinced this is supposed to be a sad song yet. Like there is a chance that is the admission that the chase of fame is self-destructive, and yet I still want to do it. There's a chance this could be the Joker's origin story if written by like Marina.
Oh, I like everything you just said.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you nailed it. Like, this is like if you had a crystal ball that you held up to, at least to the version of Addison Rae that's the protagonist in this song, and said, this is where the fame life is going to lead, the glamorous life as it's referred to in the song. This is where that's going to lead you. It'd be like, okay, where do I sign? I don't give a shit. I'm still in, because of all the trappings that I get right now outweighs all of the traps that I know are just lurking right outside a camera frame.
Exactly. Also, I'm glad you mentioned that, because props to that, because she did mention that the glamorous life was an inspiration for the song. So, also shout out to Sheila E.
Sheila E. Who knew we'd be talking about Sheila E in 2025? Here we are.
Exactly.
Hell yeah. That brings us, I think, up to number 2 on your list, right?
Yes.
Making sure I can count today, which is never a guarantee.
There's the numbers on my sheet. Otherwise, I would be kind of up a creek without a paddle myself. Let me start by explaining what the song feels like to someone who has never seen the movie, and then I can dig a little bit more into what the fourth single hitting the Hot 100 from K-Pop Demon Hunters is set up to do in the form of what it sounds like. So the outsider will hear a big, a bold, expansive banger that should be the climax to a film. The massive sound, the soaring vocals, practically screaming, "This is where the good guys win." It's the anthem. The swelling of tensions and energy that's designed to get the audience up out of their seats, capped off with Rocky hitting the final left on Ivan Drago, which I'm told is kind of what it does happen in the flick here, I guess. So it lands on one side. What it sounds like does deliver on the one thing the final song movie needs to do, and it is that anthem. It is meant to be the inspirational heart of the climax. It's serving to wrap up the main battle against the demons, as well as one of the main characters' battle with their inner demons. Again, I'm relying a lot on write-ups to tell me what's happening here. So if I'm way off base, my apologies, not intentional, misinterpreting reviews, I guess. But at the end of the day, it's a big banger of a pop single that hits all the right notes. It mashes all the right buttons. It flicks all the right switches. It makes all the right calls. Shakes off all the right curveball signals. Applies all the right coats of varnish. Runs out all the right ideas and just says the song stands up so well that with or without the context of the streaming sensation, it's just a damn good pop song.
Doesn't include batteries.
It never includes batteries.
That's true. That's fair. That's fair.
Nothing includes the batteries. Come on now.
I should have known.
It doesn't include the speakers. It doesn't include the amp. It doesn't include me getting the right hub. Now you want it, Zach. You buy it.
For fuck's sake.
Let me feel the fiber of your fabric.
As I say, I say that knowing that you do not get that reference from that
Not
movie.
one iota, but I knew that the other guy did.
I knew you did. So I
was
also
waiting for the
add,
tete-a-tete.
Oh, there you go. Well, so I'll just finish with, Jesus Christ, you could choke a dozen donkeys on that. What do you do when you're not buying stereos, Jay? Financing revolutions?
Could go all day, man.
Well, we probably could at this point. After the record, I'll find the scene and make you watch it, and then you'll have to go on a Guy Ritchie spree.
I'm surprised that hasn't happened yet.
We'll figure that out. You know what I like to figure out, though? The bottom of the chart. I'll go ahead and I'll help you out there.
Yeah, no, please.
Because I just want to get this over with.
For sure. Yeah, chug into it. Chug into it, because it's bad.
It's not good.
I've seen the tea leaves. It's pretty.
It's not good. Let's start with a dishonorable mention, because it's always, let's ease into it. And it's Drake. Yeah. Featuring Central C in which one? It's the prelude to yet another Drake album where the 421 tracks forthcoming will continue to be the very definition of the law of diminishing returns. This is a Drake track. And by now, you know exactly what that means. The dancehall bass is interesting, and there's some good ideas here. However, Drake's inability not to do his remix mid-song thing, as well as rehashing one of his own most annoying hooks from work, kind of send this one clattering over the edge.
Yeah, and not even Central C is enough to redeem this track. As much as I love Central C, I'm not going to lie, but this was not it. And Drake was Drake.
Drake was Drake. In fact, if you take Drake out of the mix, let's let Central C cook. Much better song. Much better song.
Agreed. Yeah, just like, what was it, Big X the Plug and Lil Wayne, whatever track that was from a few months ago. Same exact thing. Take Lil Wayne out of it. Great.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. Take the main artist out. Let the featured artist cook.
Oh, I have a hunch that you're going to be cooking number 16?
15.
15. Damn it. I thought I had it. No, I am one behind. I know what this one is.
Okay. That's all good. Speaking of songs, though, with terrible samples, what better way to reuse the basic music from a pop group's most annoying tracks than to beef up the bass line and then throw one of the most well-known disco lyrics over it? No, of course not. Don't do that. That's a terrible idea. Which is exactly what the Jonas Brothers producer should have said when they brought him the concept of No Time to Talk. Because this is pretty much the production of Only Human, the thing they put out during the pandemic about dancing in the living room. We were like, oh, ha, ha. And then they said dancing in the living room like 40 times in a 3-minute song. We're like, okay, I get it. Because that's all I can do. But at the very least, they gave it a better, heavier bass line. So I'll give them that. But the main hook is all Barry, Robin, and Maurice, in as much as it's the chorus of Staying Alive, right up to the point where they say Staying Alive. And that is literally the only distinguishing characteristic of the song. I'm sure there are other things that happen, but I can't tell you what, honestly. First, it's not really memorable, and second, I cannot get past the unbelievably trash sampling going on here.
I get that.
Because I mean, we've talked about this whole thing, but like samples and covers are the same thing. If you're going to take a sample, at least use it creatively, not just make their chorus your chorus.
That works so infrequently. Anxiety is one of the cases where I could find where it does work, but usually you're going to miss. If you swing at that bat, you are going to miss. Such as the Jonas Brothers.
Swing and a miss. Couldn't catch up with that one. 0-1 the count.
The one thing I thought about when I listened to the song was like, this kind of has vibes of Feel It Still, but like the version of Feel It Still that you find at the bottom of the Frosted Flakes box. It was...
Okay, that's great. That's and yet the perfect description, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, and like you touched on it, production is so much of where this track goes wrong. Like the Jonas Brothers they're a known quantity. You know what you're getting there, no matter what track it is.
Yeah,
but the production has just failed on so many counts.
Yeah,
and still worse than that.
Exactly, only the third worst. I don't think I really need to say much more than who put out my number 16 song, but that's not good content, and we are nothing if not hashtag for the brand. Because the never-ending train of the mediocre artist that is somehow just good enough to keep winning fucking Grammys, Chris Brown is back, and he's drugged Bryson Tiller into the meh with him as the second single off what one can only assume will be his forthcoming 12th studio album. It Depends comes in at 16. I don't really feel like his continued career deserves continued discussion, but look, here we are. Song's pretty mid in like just about every aspect. Of course, Brown is going to be the greatest man you've ever seen, and he's going to fuck you so good you'll forget every other man exists, which is pretty much his writing wheelhouse these days. But in our next case of shite sampling, they rip the bridge out of Usher's Nice and Slow and just make it their bridge. And Usher doesn't deserve that. The production's whatever. The vocals are exactly what you expect from Brown and Tiller. I mean, it's a song. It happened, and I had to deal with it. And thus, I am passing that on to you and making y'all deal with that.
I will not.
But you know it exists, so there's that. And it's probably going to get nominated for a Best R&B Performance Grammy.
Yeah, Dan, to your point, girl, I'll be your best. Yes, then I'll be your best again. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Oh, yes, when you ask for sex again. 12 writers. No, I take that back. 11 writers, because they had to give Usher credit for the thing that they completely blatantly lifted and made it worse. 11 writers came up with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are y'all doing? And 11 writers worked with Chris Brown, which is already a failure.
You know, it's one of those moments where you're like, so being an old, I talk to fellow old people, and they are on the fair, but they are on the all music not made before or made after 1993 is utter trash. The same way like their parents were of their music, which the irony hasn't registered yet, even when I bring it up, but it's still the whole, you know, nothing good happens now anymore. And I try to, what we do every month, to prove the opposite end of that argument. But then there's this that took 11 people to write, allegedly, and it makes it really, really hard to continuously defend these things that we want to talk about. And it makes it very hard to encourage people to go, no, there's bad music all over, no matter what the actual like timeline is. And there's stuff out there that's well worth your time to listen, and I'm sure you will like, but that isn't the encouragement. That isn't the thing that wants to that pushes them back out into the musical dating world, so to speak, where most of them still have keyboard ties.
I mean, you don't?
Way out there for that metaphor. Sorry.
No, I was just hung up on what you were saying. Just was so like enlightening that Chris Brown is still actively ruining it for so many other artists and for people like us who want to prove that no, there is good music. Don't worry about this guy over here. He doesn't matter. He doesn't factor into it. There's other things.
Look at, you know that Chris Brown joint that you think you want to listen to? Hey, listen, there's this Dijon guy.
So much better.
Yes. So much better. Actually, I can't guarantee that, but you said it. So that
hell, at this point, that Chris, that Chris Brown joint you want to hate, that's cool. Go ahead and hate it. Cause here's this new record by this guy named Giveon. It'll definitely scratch that itch. Much better.
Giveon's so good. Yeah, go listen to Giveon. I know the album came out last month or month before. Go back and listen to it. We talked about it.
Do that.
It's awesome.
Yes, do that. So good.
Tremendous.
Tell you what's not tremendous. Or maybe tremendous in a different way.
Yeah.
Oh, we reached the bottom. This one's unfortunate.
So again, just kind of think good thoughts, because with all that we said about those last two songs, one man found a way to put something into the auditory ether that was much worse, and therefore deserving of being the worst charting song of August. That honor goes to the, quote, pride, unquote, of Cleveland. East Cleveland, to be exact. Maybe. No. I don't know where Shaker Heights is. It's MGK and Cliche. Here's the very first thing I wrote when the first time I listened to the track. All right? This is first listened through, first thought about the song. The Kid Laroi at 1.5 times speed and half times the vocal talent.
It's so true. It's the nicest thing you could say about it, too. Let
Uprocks expound upon that, and then let the burgeoning hate for them flourish in you after this. Quote, on the scale of rap to pop punk, MGK's new song Cliche falls closer to the Blink 182 side of things, with a lot of boy band dancing thrown in there too. Think a more earnest All the Small Things music video.
I hate everything you just said.
That statement is both full of horseshit and completely accurate all at the same time. The first 30 seconds of the song are Kelly seemingly trying to join the current trend of the acoustic guitar stomp clap country, and then someone slammed Red Bull into the song's main vein, and off we go. And it feels fast, a little bit faster than a song like this should be, fast enough to sound just off. And by that I mean I checked Spotify 5 times to make sure I accidentally didn't hit a button and crank it to 1.25 times speed. But there's a problem that gets revealed more and more as MGK drifts further away from his wheelhouse of hip-hop. Motherfucker can't sing. And here's the thing. That's not necessarily an issue if you're sticking in the area of punk and pop punk. You don't need to be able to croon to succeed in that genre. You do have to hit some notes, and you have to be expressive. And Kelly can do neither. His upper register is just grating, so he lets the vocal processor double up that half and handle the high harmony, but he's really not good, and following along an octave or two lower seems to be a chore. Add in the fact that this is apparently aimed at an unnamed ex who is clearly Megan Fox, and I can't forget this song any faster, which I do encourage you all to do as well.
Can't forget something I've never heard, so I will stick with that.
That's not a bad way to look at it. How can I miss you if you won't go away?
Dan, did you happen to see the music video by any chance?
No, and I don't want to. But please describe.
So the comparison between, was it All the Small Things specifically that was mentioned as the comparison?
It was.
So Blink 182 did that as a parody, as we all know.
Yes.
I don't think MGM is doing it as a parody at all. Oh. He's got backup dancers. They're doing like
oh no.
Can I really reuse the Frosted Flakes toy analogy again? Because this is skanking at the bottom of the Frosted Flakes. It's so like Fatboy Slim is rolling over in his grave. I know he's not dead, but this killed him, and he then proceeded to roll over afterwards. It is in a car wash. It's dumb. It's like I could see Kelly coming into the meeting and being like, "Hey guys, I've got it. This is the idea." Being totally proud of himself, like he just fucking discovered gold for the first time. And it is.
Man. Look, I get it. Okay, I understand breakups do things to a man. I get it. You know, no judgment there. But like, Colson, my dude, here, come here. Talk to somebody, and that'll help a lot. Like, really, there are other ways to kind of work your way through this. There's maybe even other creative things we can help you, but this ain't it. This should have never gotten off the page, the written page. This should have been, here's an idea, and then you rip it off the notebook and throw it over your shoulder into one of the old school wire basket that's scattered with a whole bunch of things, a whole bunch of crumpled up papers, because all these ideas sound the same and they're all shite. You need a friend to say, my guy, don't do it. Please don't do it.
Which everything you just said is the only redeeming, if there is such a word for this song, the only redeeming part of it. The title is so on point.
The problem is I'm not convinced that there was a hint of irony put into naming that song.
Yeah, 100% there was. This was still, you know, Kelly's attempt to be clever. Like, they'll never get this one. They'll never see this joke coming.
Oh no. We saw the joke. And hate to break it to you. It's not the joke. The joke is not the one you told there, bud.
It's the truth. It's the truth, Kels.
Okay. Let's forget that song, please.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
I'm going to actively delete this playlist. I usually keep them around, but I'm going to delete this one just so Spotify doesn't like, oh, he has this in a playlist. Let's start playing this more. Don't do that.
Oh, no.
It will only play you Chris Brown from here on out.
Oh.
Made my stomach hurt.
I need to delete everything.
It's the only way to be sure.
I'm gonna nuke my playlist from space.
Listen, the Spotify gremlins think you want Chris Brown. You're getting Chris Brown.
Yeah. But instead, Spotify gremlins, instead of Chris Brown, there are other choices.
Yeah, I'm gonna flip. I need to flip the script, I think, and then just go back and over listen to this song and record, and that should hopefully start to push that down. And I like the order in which things happened here, just on the timeline, because I don't have to present my top song of the month as much as I can restart a conversation with the two of you. I mean, I do have some thoughts, but I like that we get to talk some more about Don't Tap the Glass, as the number one song of August is Big Po from Tyler, the Creator, Pharrell Williams, and Skateboard. And like y'all said last month, Don't Tap the Glass isn't really the most like commercial record, but this one absolutely fits as a single, which it wasn't released as a single, which is even funnier because it is a top level banger that welcomes Tyler's new persona, Big Po, and it will be very interesting to see how he uses this character going forward. And also an example of the sample used well as they get past the Cavassier into this one. But lads, tell me a little bit more. Refresh me on what y'all thought about this album opener. Hopefully you remember this album opener.
Well, so, I mean, I do, because I've listened to the record a handful of times since then. But that's honestly not even close to my favorite track on the record. But it's a cool song.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a sucker anytime you run that boom bap beat to start with. So that's always going to get some extra points for me. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it feels like more like classic Pharrell from a production standpoint.
Yeah, actually, that's a really good way to put it, I think.
Like the beats that just like go into the folder. That's like I gotta dust this one off. This has a nice little layer of sediment on top of it because it's been a minute since I got in there and started looking around at stems. That's the vibe that I felt from Big Poe. Plus
Yeah,
the
I get
Pascal
that.
Courvoisier sample.
The past, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
also,
I like that. That song in general feels more. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that that's the one that's going to hit from the record because it's probably the most accessible track on the record. From a just from a purely like, you know, beat standpoint, like it's more what you could see the mainstream listening to.
For sure.
So that's how August wrapped up for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely better than the last couple of months. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I don't know exactly how, like we have an advantage. Like we can see well ahead of time what is kind of coming down the pike. We can look at the future albums in September and kind of see roughly what we're working with. I know it's a little bit more varied for the.
Fuck, there's a Taylor record next month, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
There is that. That is absolutely a thing that's happening. That is going to enter all of our spheres.
We'll just have to see which direction this one goes, but that is going to take over a relatively stagnant chart for the last several months.
Yeah. Oh, my apologies. That's October, actually, the first week of October.
All right,
we get to dodge it for September.
All right. Well,
but it means we're all talking about it first week in November, though.
Yes, we are.
You guys might get to dodge it, but I assume there's going to be a single.
Maybe
a couple. A few, perhaps.
Here's the thing, though. The same week that album drops, we get a new Wet, Wet, Wet record. So, something might beat the other one in the charts. I'm just saying.
Yeah, Wet, Wet, Wet is a powerhouse. I could see that. I could absolutely see that.
Here, I was trying to come up to kind of prove exactly how just stagnant the charts have been outside of the random outside of the random K-pop Demon Hunter soundtrack. And like, here's these bastards. Let's explain exactly what I mean when I say stagnant. Alex Warren, an Ordinary, crap song, been up there for 28 weeks.
Ew.
Lose Control, Teddy Swims, has been on this chart 105 weeks.
Good ass song, but not a 2-year good song.
A top 10 single, and it has been there for 2. A bar song is still here in the top 20, and it has been on this chart for 71 weeks.
Good Lord. Another song that I dig, but like, does it need to be there for a year and a half? I don't think so.
Benson Boone has been here for 82. Jesus. Pink Pony Club's been up there for 62, and it's still a top 20 song.
I mean, I would posit that there's enough new music that no matter how good a song is, it does not need to be in the top 20 for a year.
And here's your perfect example. Birds of a Feather is at 22 and has been here for 66 weeks.
Jesus. I mean, I understand the staying power, and I know that streaming certainly has a lot to do with the proclivities of folks to continue to listen to the same shit they loved yesterday and the week and the month before.
Sure, but that also explains to why, you have basically the streaming is the perfect example why you have an entire album chart and then everything just kind of move out of the way of it for a week and then slide back in as soon as that all falls off.
Yeah, it is. I know we've talked about this in so many different capacities, just how fascinating the charts are, how fascinating the evolution of the charts are, and just logistically why does a song chart and another song doesn't? Why does an album have, 1,000 songs that chart and this other one from a popular artist may have none? It really boggles the mind in a lot of ways.
That's probably something we should dive into on another episode of the Philly KickAss podcast. But for now, we should probably shuffle off and allow these all to digest. And if you
just keep shuffling and shuffle off this mortal coil.
No, I'm not trying to tell all of our listeners just to go. Yeah, thank you.
Eat KFC.
Jesus Christ.
I got a different place that the listeners could shuffle off to.
I was
helps.
just thinking the same thing. I could think of about 4 different places they should shuffle off to.
Oh, do tell, do tell.
Oh, I mean, you can shuffle us off to Blue Sky or Threads or Instagram or TikTok. If you just do it at Philly Kickass on any of those outfits, you'd be shuffling to more of whatever this is, but still, it's worth it. We hope. Or if you really want to be old-fashioned and you want to yell at us in letter form, just shoot us the email over to fairlykickass@gmail.com.
I like it. I like all of those things.
Always have my card right in front of me on the desk.
Attaboy. Well, just a reminder to the listeners before we shove off, just to reinforce, listen to your friends. They know what they're talking about. At the very least, they know some things that you don't know about music. They've heard some things you haven't heard. And, maybe you'll find something that you love because of them. And maybe sometimes you'll find the real McCoy, like I mentioned. But a lot of times it will be better than the real McCoy.
100% of the times.